Okay, guys, welcome to my first video on YouTube. I'm not going to waste much time. I'm going to go ahead and get into all this. So, this clip I'm about to play comes from the Valuetainment YouTube channel, which is hosted by Patrick Bet David and his team. I personally have never been a huge fan of PBD. And when he decided to bring Chris Cuomo on to his podcast as a new addition last year, I think it was March, I stopped tuning in entirely. However, I did come across this clip and I found it intriguing for a couple of reasons. So basically, the Valuetainment podcast starts this segment by playing a clip of Tucker Carlson speaking at the Turning Point USA Summit, which took place on July 11th, 2025, just 5 days ago. And Tucker discusses Jeffrey Epstein's alleged ties to Israeli intelligence and CIA's purported involvement in the assassination of a sitting U.S. president, which I believe he was most likely referring to JFK, which he doesn't specify. He also emphasizes that questioning the government's intentions doesn't make you a bad person or a traitor. So let's roll the clip.
Here's Tucker. Okay, he's at Turning Point USA, and go for it, Rob.
Not acceptable. And I think the real answer is Jeffrey Epstein was working on behalf of intel services, probably not American. And we have every right to ask, on whose behalf was he working? How does a guy go from being a math teacher at the Dalton School in the late 70s with no college degree to having multiple airplanes, a private island, and the largest residential house in Manhattan? Where did all the money come from? And no one has ever gotten to the bottom of that because no one has ever tried. And moreover, it's extremely obvious to anyone who watches that this guy had direct connections to a foreign government. Now, no one's allowed to say that that foreign government is Israel because we have been somehow cowed into thinking that that's naughty. There is nothing wrong with saying that. There is nothing hateful about saying that. There's nothing anti-Semitic about saying that. There's nothing even anti-Israel about saying that. I've spent my entire life pretty much in Washington, where I knew and loved a number of people, including one very close person who worked at CIA. That has never prohibited me from saying, I think the CIA has done some horrible things, murdered a bunch of people, participated in the murder of a sitting U.S. president. It's got a whole trail of crimes. That doesn't make me a disloyal American. It doesn't make me anti-American in any sense. I was born here. My family's been here for hundreds of years. I love this country. That's why I live here. So criticizing the behavior of a government agency does not make you a hater. It makes you a free person. It makes you a citizen. You're allowed to do that because you're not a slave. You're a citizen. And you have a right to expect that your government will not act against your interests, and you have a right to demand that foreign governments not be allowed to act against your interest. That's not creepy. It shouldn't be forbidden. And yet all of us have trained ourselves
Rob,
to believe that you
Pam
can't
Bondi
say that.
Okay, so I'm going to stop right there before they roll on to another clip. I just wanted to point a couple things out. So Tucker has, in the past, especially the last like 4 or 5 years, talked about a lot of things, just like freedom and, sovereignty and being able to question the government and stuff like that. So this isn't necessarily new, but I feel like it resonates a bit more given the context of the situation with the Epstein files not being released and kind of how it's looking like they're being swept under the rug and people are being told not to worry about them. So he makes some good points, and he points out that as free Americans, we have the right to question our government, a principle. And this is, of course, not what he said. I'm just pointing it out. But this is a principle that is enshrined in the First Amendment of the Bill of Rights. And this amendment protects individual liberties and ensures we can hold the government accountable, especially when it acts against the people's interests. So just for a little bit of context there, the Bill of Rights comprises the first 10 amendments to our Constitution, forming the ideological foundation of our country. So it's super important stuff. And Tucker also shares a personal note mentioning he grew up in Washington, D.C. and was close to someone in the CIA, likely his father, who recently passed and worked for the agency. He stresses that this relationship never stopped him from criticizing the CIA, which I think is a crucial point. I mean, Tucker loves his father and he loves his country, but that doesn't prevent him from questioning either one of them. And skepticism is innate. It's instinctual. And it's a survival tool that we've used for thousands of years, and we shouldn't abandon it now. Curiosity is healthy, And I applaud Tucker for taking this stance. So, yeah, that's my 2 cents on that. And then next, PBD transitions to another clip from the same Turning Point USA summit where Tucker discusses the Pam Bondi and Dan Bongino's reputation, or the fact that Dan Bongino's reputation is taking a hit since he's accepted the role as FBI Deputy Director, and how Pam Bondi played a role in all this. And this discussion took place on some podcasts at the Turning Point USA Summit. But yeah, it was all in the same day.
This is this clip right here is where they talk about Bondi and Bongino and the fallout.
Okay, play that one here.
Do you think Dan is upset because his integrity is being questioned now over her mistakes?
Oh my gosh. So you're Dan and you're a media figure and you've got one of the biggest podcasts in the country and you're making tons of money and you're having a great time, which he was. You just built this brand new studio in Florida. You work with your wife, who you really like, which she does. And you get the call saying you'd be deputy FBI director. And you're like, I love Donald Trump. I love this country. I will, cut my pay by, into a tenth of what it was. And I will leave my house and move to D.C., which is a kind of prison sentence itself. And I will do this because I love the president. I love the country. And you're there a few months. And all of a sudden, everybody thinks you're covering up Epstein's crimes. And it kind of wrecks Dan's career. Like, he can't go back. It's going to be very hard at this point. I mean, things may change. But as of today, pretty hard for Dan to go back to his podcast audience and be like, I'm telling you the truth, when they all think he's covering up for Epstein. Who did that? Pam Bondi did that. And I don't know that she did it on purpose. I'm assuming not. I don't think she's a mean person. I've never gotten that sense. But for whatever reason, she went out there and said things that were not true, that she could not back up. And then they issued this memo thinking that it would clear everything up.
That was embarrassing.
And I guess they're just so dumb, they didn't realize that if you tell everybody you have the tapes of these crimes and then you issue a memo saying you're not going to prosecute anybody for the crimes, what are you saying?
That's a very...
I'm covering up for the...
Adam, that's the...
Okay. So Tucker's saying Dan Bongino took a huge hit by accepting the deputy director role at the FBI. He's basically telling us he took a major pay cut and that it uprooted his whole life because he had to move there from Florida. He had to move to D.C. from Florida, and now he's risking his entire career getting trashed because of how this Epstein file release thing is unfolding. And make a long story short, it makes Dan look like he's complicit in covering up some pretty serious crimes and corruption. Which is, it definitely doesn't look good, to say the least. But Tucker points the finger at Pam Bondi, saying she's the one that's responsible for all this because how she's claimed in the past, at first she was claiming there are videos of these crimes, but then issued a memo stating no one will be prosecuted very recently, I think a few days ago, within the last week. And that makes the government look awful. And Tucker argues it puts Dan in a tough spot, damaging his relationship with his audience as people start to question his integrity, which is also totally understandable and totally reasonable. I mean, everybody's looking real suspicious right now. And I get Tucker's point, and I mostly agree, but everyone seems to be piling on Pam Bondi. She's not doing so hot either. I'm not saying she's doing a great job, no doubt. But as president, Trump has the authority to order the Justice Department to declassify and release the Epstein files. He can bypass all standard protocols. He can 100% declassify government documents. So I'm curious why no one's talking about this. And I'm not trying to paint Trump in some horrible bad light here, but these are just facts. And we have to, assess the data, be data driven as opposed to being emotionally driven. And these things are all true. So it just begs the question of why is Pam Bondi appearing to be the scapegoat while Trump gets a pass and faces no scrutiny. But we'll keep going.
Most basic question everybody is upset about.
Sure.
That's the most basic thing everybody is upset about.
That Pam announced something and then retracted her statement?
That somebody on Trump's team made an announcement that they're going to do that, and then they're changing it. Tom, you look like you want to say something.
Explaining
well, Pam didn't make an announcement. Pam got busted.
Caught.
Possibly just here, I don't know Pam personally, and I don't want to be harsh here, but is it possible that she got caught in a restaurant and saying some things, says, I've told you a million times, just hyperbole. And she got busted saying that. It became a news item overnight, and she walked not to a podium,
White House lawn.
but to the White House lawn and doubled down on what she said. Is it possible that she shouldn't have done it that way? Is it possible that now that kind of put a stake in the ground and all of a sudden it's like, okay, now we've got 10,000 videos. Now what? I really wonder if she was just talking over the top with somebody, got busted because it was overheard. She's in a public restaurant. Not so bad idea if it was hyperbole, bad idea to be talking in a restaurant. And then you doubled down on the driveway on an impromptu media op at the White House. And here we are. I wonder.
Okay. So what Tom is talking about here is apparently there was a covert like recording of Pam Bondi from April 28th, 2025 at a DC restaurant. She allegedly mentioned tens of thousands of videos of little kids tied to the Epstein case. Later, she doubled down on these claims, contradicting her public statement and the DOJ's memo denying the existence of any client list or incriminating videos. Also, James O'Keefe has reported on this. So the recordings seem legit. I haven't seen them or listened to them personally, but I looked a little bit, and there is multiple people that have reported on it. So I would imagine that they are real. I don't personally find this earth-shattering. It suggests that the government's likely lying to us about the Epstein files, which is obvious. So, I mean, I really don't find anything super significant about this. So we'll just keep moving forward.
No, Adam, say what you're going to say.
If we can go back to that list, and that's sort of the center of my entire thesis here, is that I understand why people are frustrated by this. I too have watched Game of Thrones. I too watched Tiger King and wanted to know what was next. But my major emphasis is I don't know. And either do you, homie. And you can say what you think all you want. And I respect the hell out of that. But I mean this. You don't know. And that's okay to say. The hardest thing to do as a podcaster is when Pat goes, all right, buddy, what's your opinion? And I go, yeah, I don't know on this one. I just don't know.
Yeah.
The humility it takes to say, yeah, I don't know what happened. I don't know if he was CIA.
Well, no.
I don't know if he was Mossad.
Okay. So first off, Adam Susnick is the worst. He's such a freaking cornball. And I don't know. He just has the worst takes. But he compares this to Game of Thrones or Tiger King, saying he's like, wants to know what's going to happen next type of thing. Like, really? Like, that's your take? As if a foreign country potentially extorting or blackmailing our government is like a TV show with a cliffhanger? I don't know. I just think it's a bad comparison, and it makes Adam look bad, honestly. It's distasteful. I'll give him this. He's right that hardly anyone knows the full story, especially not regular people like us. But that doesn't mean we should stop pushing for the truth or demanding the files be released. It's just a cowardly stance. Let's keep listening.
Is when Pat goes, all right, buddy, what's your opinion? And I go, yeah, I don't know on this one. I just don't know.
Yeah.
The humility it takes to say, yeah, I don't know what happened. I don't know if he was CIA.
Well, no.
I don't know if he was Mossad.
Those are two different things. No,
okay.
hang on.
Thank you.
Adam, I brought this up to give you an argument.
Thank you. And
so what I'm trying to say to you is I don't know. None of us know.
Thank you for acknowledging that.
No.
But our friend Vinny here
he doesn't.
just said he did know.
No.
Is my point.
The point is none of us know, but we all have an opinion. If this podcast wasn't without you sharing your opinion, there is no podcast.
Correct.
People are simply watching this to say, Adam's full of shit. I agree with Adam. Vinny's angry. I don't know what Vinny's out of control. You know what? He's the only guy that's the truth. You know what, Tom? I like what Tom. Pat, they get to judge. And they get to talk trash and say good things and say bad, and that's okay. We're talking opinion.
Yes.
Your opinion, which is a very valid opinion. Your opinion is, he never ran on this.
He didn't run on this.
I know. That's what I'm saying to you. So
Yes.
you can give that opinion.
And that's all I'm trying to say.
That's it. I'm with you.
And I'm just mirroring.
So I just want to point out real quick that now PBD's playing mediator, sitting on the fence. He's playing fence sitter, saying everyone's opinion is valid and everyone is right. He even agrees that with Adam that Trump never campaigned on releasing the Epstein files. So therefore it's irrelevant. I mean, I can't believe that's his position. It just seems so cowardly to me. And it's just demonstrably false that I guess it's not included in his official, campaign agenda or like the top 20 things, but there are so many clips out there. Once I get better at editing, I would love to, you know, compile a bunch of them just to show everyone right now. But I mean, I've seen it multiple times. Him talking about it. I mean, he even talked about it on the Joe Rogan podcast right before he got elected, right before he won the election. So it's just ridiculous. But we'll keep rolling on.
This wasn't on my top 3. Just like we've had conversations about AutoPen. This was not in my top 10. It's getting closer to my top 3. It ain't there yet. And I acknowledge, you know what? I sort of downplayed the AutoPen thing because there's a lot of sort of domino effects of, I don't know what happened here. It's still not in my top 3. But what's my point? Trump never ran on Epstein. He never acknowledged this as like, this is what I'm going to get out there and do. But you and people like you, rightfully so, have said, this is my top 3, and he campaigned on this, and this is number 1, and you made that up in your head. Because I'm going down this list, and I'm also, like, sarcastically waiting for Epstein to be in the top 20. It ain't even in his top 20 list. Can we acknowledge that? Can you acknowledge that?
Yeah, I could acknowledge it.
Okay, perfect.
But
we're good.
Here's my thing.
Well, there you have it again, folks. The cornball strikes again. You got Adam telling you that, hey, because Trump didn't include it in Agenda 47, top 20 things that he's going to do for the people, then what's it matter? Screw those kids. Who cares who was trafficking them, who was assaulting them? Forget about it. It's not important. All the interviews, all the things Trump said and did, indicating and overtly saying that he was going to release the files. It doesn't matter anymore. Just forget about it, man. It's no big deal. So, yeah. Just the fact that he says Trump never promised to release the Epstein files is absolutely absurd. It's false. I don't align with Adam or PBD here. I think they're running cover for the system, and I think that's cowardly, especially when it comes to the Epstein files and the harm done to children. They should be ashamed. All right. Now, Vinny's about to respond to Adam, and I know this is going to be good. Vinny can be intense, but I usually agree with him. So let's play the video and hear what he has to say about it.
But just say this.
Go ahead.
It's in your top 3. But it's not
Adam,
Trump's
and
top 20.
You know what made it go in the top 3? The freaking lying. The sitting and looking in a camera and bullshitting us, thinking that we're those losers and those idiots that you're talking about. Adam, we're not stupid and we're not fucking losers, okay? When a promise comes out of your mouth, I learned this big time with him. You know why? I would say something to one of his kids, Tico, just in a small little passing. Uncle Vinny, can we watch a movie? I'd say, yeah, Sunday, blah, blah, blah. He would hit me up and be like, Tico's going crazy, asking me where you are because you said X, Y, and Z. When you make a promise, even to a little kid, they want the fucking promise. Sorry for my cussing back.
No.
But let me finish.
I get it.
So when
who made the promise, though?
Donald Trump.
Made the promise?
It wasn't on his campaign promises to the American people list. But Adam,
he is on
multiple.
The thing that he ran on.
He's on camera multiple
sort of
times.
Important.
Hold on. He's not only on camera multiple times. Adam, the Kash Patel.
Show me.
I will
show me Trump on camera
look Trump
saying I'm going to get to the bottom of Epstein.
I'm going to get the Epstein list.
Show me that.
All right, let me finish. Let him, while he's looking that up. Not only the president, his son. You can find that video. Find the son of the video of Don Jr. And then Kash Patel. How many on the couch podcast?
Just
hold on,
show
Adam.
me Trump.
I let you talk. Let me finish. He's gonna show you the Trump. By the way, and it's multiple here and on podcasts. Which one's the other one? And on CNN. He did it on MSNBC. How many times are you gonna say it? And then the team around you, the Kash Patels, the Dan Bongino's entire thing.
Who do you think knows more on this? You or Kash Patel?
What do you mean knows more about this?
Who do you think knows more about this situation?
That now knows exactly what happened and is covering it up?
Patel?
Kash Patel, for sure.
Okay, who knows more, you or Pam Bondi?
Pam Bondi has more.
Who knows more, you or Dan Bongino?
Adam,
you pull up Cash's
So
tweets.
I'm going to listen to them,
and what's
not
your
you.
point, Adam? Well, hold on. You know why that's a dumbass argument? What do they know more? Meaning they saw They saw the dirt, Adam, and now they're being quiet. I'm not stupid. Nobody in here is stupid.
Here we go.
You know.
The conspiracy theories just aren't true.
Yeah.
Never have been. It's an honor to serve the President Donald Trump, and I'll continue to do so for as long as he
And
calls
who
on me.
tweeted this?
But wait a minute.
This is Kash
I'm going to
Patel?
move on. I'm going to move on with this, and I want to just finish up with this.
But Vinny disagrees, so
No,
he must be
both,
wrong.
Both of you
You trust the FBI.
have an argument. And what's weird is both of you are right. Two people can be right on the same argument. You're right that he never ran on this, and you voted for him. As a guy that's never voted for a Democratic, Republican president ever in your life, this is the first time you ever voted on it, but you never voted on this. So you're being upfront with the audience. Vinny's also right, because what Vinny's trying to say is, why are you thinking I'm dumb? There's hundreds of clips many clips of Kash Patel giving a complete opposite argument of that. We're not going to play it right now. We got a lot of other issues to get into. This was a fumble. And Ben Shapiro and Megyn Kelly, I watched this one as well, where, he's like, well, what's the big deal? You know who my resources are? Here's my sources, saying the fact that nothing happened. President Trump, Vice President J.D. Vance, Kash Patel, Pam Bondi, and then Megyn Kelly's like, but you can't say that because we can question that. Both are right. Massive fumble. All I'm watching right now is to see how the hell they're going to recover from this coming in. That's all I'm watching. What different methods they're going to come through this part.
All right. So I didn't watch the full podcast, but right when the conversation shifts to Kash Patel and some of the tweets he's made, PBD jumps in, playing fence sitter once again, says everybody's point is valid and we're all going to move on. Just seems like he's dodging a little bit. Just wanted to call that out. But, at least PBD acknowledges that Kash Patel's tune has changed since becoming FBI director. He calls it a fumble, which is putting it politely. But they didn't let Vinny get his point across, I feel like, on what they were just talking about on the Epstein files as far as, people being justified in being curious and wanting to know what's going on and wondering why our leaders aren't taking these things serious, because that is, that's a bit disturbing. It's like, why is no one doing anything? Why did everybody, talk a big game, say they're going to take down the deep state, say they were going to release the Epstein files, the JFK files, 9/11 files, and literally none of it has been done. So, I don't know. It's just seems like a dishonest take from Adam and PBD. And I feel like, PBD is probably prioritizing friendships and profits over holding the government accountable on his own, platform where he makes money. So I get it. Playing nice gets you ahead, but we need more people driven by truth and what's right. I think Adam is a total clown, and PBD's soft takes on these kinds of matters won't keep him popular for too long. It's clear he's covering for the Trump administration. And I think Vinny has potential. I think Vinny's super based, super cool. And I hope he breaks out of there soon. So the comments from this clip were pretty hilarious as well. I'm going to share a few with you guys right now. Here's one by a guy named Noticing Trends Again. He says, Adam Susnick when children are abused. Yeah, but how does this affect you directly? Wild. Another one here says, imagine not caring about the trafficking of children. Here's another one that says, Vinny, get out of there. The house is burning down. You are the only person trying to tell the truth. The others are deflecting, denying, and staying quiet. Which is true. It seemed like a lot of deflecting, in my opinion as well. And I know these are controversial topics, but, somebody's got to stand for, truth, so that the truth matters. And, people have to want to get to the bottom of this. You can't just stay quiet and be a yes man. One person said, keep Adam, exposes the character of Israel. Not sure exactly what that means, but I guess Adam is Jewish. But yeah, guys, there you have it. That's my take on the PBD podcast clip today and the content they've been putting out lately. Thank you for tuning into my first YouTube video here at Tanner Talks TV. I hope to see you guys again soon. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And God bless, guys. Have a good day.